Hello everybody, and welcome to another video where I rant about something I'm passionate about. Last time I talked about Hazbin Hotel, and I really enjoyed the experience, so I've decided I'm going to do it again. This time, though, we're talking about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And if there's one thing I can say about this game, it's just why. Why? There's so many things that there's so many thoughts I have about this game, and unfortunately, not a lot of them are positive. Um, Last video was, I feel as though, still quite positive. Well, in fact, it was very positive, despite the fact that I talked about quite a few of the problems with Hazbin Hotel. This time, I don't have much good to say, unfortunately. But if you would like to hear my thoughts and why I am, why I'm going to be talking negatively, stick around. First thing is spoiler warning. I'm not going to be going real in depth about on spoilers, but I am going to mention a few things that are spoilery. So if you have never heard of this game, if you've never played this game and you want to, then please click off this video, go play the game, go watch videos on the game, come back. And the first thing I just want to say is a live service game, really. I know live service games are all the rage right now, but like just they all just die. Almost every single one of the new live service games that has come out in recent years has died. That isn't one of the OGs, I mean, like Destiny. So, like, why did they ever think this would be a good idea or a good format for a game? If you're going to make a looter shooter, at least make it like Borderlands, so then you can have it story focused and you're not locked into the live service framework, which it doesn't limit the like what you can do in the game, but it does force you to use a structure, and I don't think that structure is a good one. Personally, I don't think it's conductive towards good gameplay. I feel as though it's conductive towards very boring and repetitive gameplay. And so I really wish that if you're gonna make a looter shooter or a shooter like an action shooter like the game is, um, why couldn't you have made it like Borderlands? Because as much as the Borderlands games have problems, they're still great games with a lot of variety, despite the fact that they're looter shooters. So I just that's frankly my biggest problem with this game. Straight out of the bat, just it's a live service game, and the framework for a live service game does not support. It doesn't support creative gameplay, and that I think is a massive disappointment because we have a very unique cast of characters in this game, and I feel as though if they weren't locked into the live service looter shooter formula, we could have got some really unique things in this game. Unfortunately, that's never going to happen because it's a live service looter shooter. So, yeah, and also just another thing that this is less a looter shooter thing, but something I think that the game probably would have benefited from is being able to swap between more characters. Now, because in the game you can swap between each of the four main characters: King Shark, Deadshot, Captain Boomerang, and Harley Quinn. But from the little bit I've played and what I have seen, they pretty much all play the same. They have a few unique abilities, but in general, you use their movement ability to get around, which is one of the few unique things about them, and then you shoot people. And they all use guns of some kind. So you're still just in the end just shooting people with excuse me, a bit of melee to stun foes and open them up for attacks, because there's some enemies that require you to use a melee attack before you can shoot them. So there's not much variety in the gameplay. So why couldn't we have had maybe a section where we play as Wonder Woman? Use a sword and a shield to beat some people up. Have some God of War type combat, and I'm talking about the more recent God of Wars, God of War from 2020, I believe, and God of War Ragnarok. I feel as though it's a bit of a missed opportunity for not being able to have something like that in the game. Or have a section where where even the playable characters that we have do something similar, where they're out of bullets and they need to use their melee like solely to fight off a group of enemies. I just think a bit more variety in the characters and the gameplay would have been really good and would have done this game. It would have helped this game succeed more, I think. Now, I know they're going... half the reason why I'm bringing this up is because they plan to add more characters as part of the live service model, with the Joker being the first one. I've got a few thoughts about him, which I'll get to a bit later. Or, you know what, I'll get to it now. You know what, I'll actually just talk about it now. They're bringing back the Joker. If it was any other like superhero game, I wouldn't care so much. But this is the Arkhamverse. There was a whole story arc about the Joker dying and being killed forever. There was like like a good portion of the focus for Arkham Knight was killing the Joker, like, forever. And now they're just retconning it and bringing him back. I feel as though it's just... Well, okay, they're not retconning it. This is an alternate universe Joker. I just feel as though it's the wrong choice. I feel as though it discredits and lessens the impact of the earlier games, because this is an Arkhamverse game. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is set in the Arkhamverse. It is, while not a direct sequel to Arkham Knight, it is set a few, I don't remember exactly how many years, but it's set several years in the future after Arkham Knight. There is a whole museum in the game dedicated to explaining the Arkham games, the previous Arkham games story. Which, like, just... I feel as though just the story-wise, it's not a great idea. And also, they've got the opportunity with this Elseworlds thing to bring in so many other characters. I'm not saying that they couldn't have brought the Joker back. I still would have thought it was a bad decision, but I think if they'd done it later, if he hadn't been the first one, it'd be a bit better if they had some other characters that they brought in instead. But that also, if we go back to the gameplay side of things, he's gonna be another character with a unique... He's just going to be another unique character... he's going to be another character with a unique movement ability that just shoots people. Because that's the framework for the game. So, essentially, you're going to be playing a different skin. Because, and this is my next point, where are the decent abilities? The skill trees in this game is essentially... Put a skill point into this, number goes up. Now, I'm going to take my... I'm going to relate back to Borderlands again, because Borderlands had this as well, but it still had decent abilities. It had sprinkled throughout abilities that would change the game, or would change your abilities, or affect your abilities in a certain way, meaning you would use them differently. And yet, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, the numbers... What it is you put a skill point into something, numbers go up. That's the extent of the skill tree. So now, I'm not saying that's necessarily... Okay, I think it's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing for the game, since numbers going up is a big part of live service games, making your numbers go up so that you do more damage in the end game, so that when you're grinding out abilities, your numbers are at the right level. It's the whole thing with live service games. but I think it's a very big missed opportunity to have some some variety with the characters, because a very good example is Harley Quinn. In the Arkham Knight DLC, she has a rage ability that lets her go on basically a killing spree. She gets extra damage. She takes less damage, if I remember correctly. It's been a little while since I played the DLC. But my point is that while gameplay-wise nothing much would change, there is an ability, there is a potential ability, and not only that, an in-universe ability that they could use to give something unique to Harley other than she uses a bat to beat people up. Her melee is that she hits people with a bat, and she uses a grapple gun to fly around. Excuse me. So, I feel as though it's very much a missed opportunity. Another big one is Captain Boomerang. Captain Boomerang you barely use his boomerang in this game. It's a method of traversal and that's it. Yet boomerangs are his entire thing. And yet we don't have any unique boomerang stuff except for his movement ability. I need to be able to speak English to finish this video. And that's where I'm going to stop talking about the gameplay, because I won't lie, I haven't played much of the game. A lot of what I'm talking about is from my first impressions and just watching a lot of YouTube videos on this game, since I wasn't the biggest fan of the gameplay, unfortunately. And the gameplay is apparently, according to reviews, one of the better parts of the game. As well, okay, the game, not necessarily gameplay, that's a whole other ball game. But the point is that from now on, I'm going to be focusing more on the story for this video, because that's what I know more about, because I've watched a lot of YouTube videos discussing the story. Like, it's just a massive cutscene movie, dialogue videos where it just, like, loops of the dialogue from the game, because I'm an Arkhamverse fan, and, well, frankly, I really wanted this game to be good, but not only did I want this game to be good, I wanted it to continue the story, the Arkhamverse story, in a satisfying and good way, and I don't think that this game has done that. So let's talk about the story here. The only other time I'll be mentioning the gameplay is just to bring up how, if the gameplay was changed to allow for this piece of the story to occur, or to allow for a new section to occur in the story, that's the only time I'm going to be talking about the gameplay from now on. So just some general story improvements. I think the prologue, instead of it being this weird prologue tutorial thing that not only doesn't make any sense when you actually pay attention to the story, well, okay, it does kind of make sense, but there's no context for it. At the time, it doesn't make sense. You don't really find out why it makes sense until, like, more than halfway through the game, if I'm remembering correctly. So replace all of that. Let's play as the Justice League for the prologue. Let's see the Justice League lose to Brainiac, and, spoiler alert, there's actually 13 Brainiacs. So that's the whole end game gimmick for this game, is that there's 13 different Brainiacs and you got to kill them all. So, like, that's what I think the prologue should have been. Let's see the Justice League lose. Let's play as them and get our asses kicked. Set the stakes, set the tone. Let's see the fight between Wonder Woman and Green Lantern. It's talked about in dialogue, and throughout the game. But at one point, Captain Boomerang, to save his own hide, sells out where Wonder Woman is going to Green Lantern, who has been corrupted by Brainiac. And Green Lantern, caring more about Wonder Woman than the Suicide Squad, leaves them to get killed by minions and goes and fights Wonder Woman himself. Now, after this occurs, we get more dialogue in the background of talking about how Green Lantern just tore through civilians to get to Wonder Woman. It was a bloodbath. And, well, why couldn't we have seen that? Why couldn't we have played that? It would have been a great way to show the stakes, to break up the gameplay, and overall, I think it just would have been an amazing and harrowing sequence. Playing as Wonder Woman and not necessarily losing the fight, but just failing. Not being able to save people. Giving us even more of a reason for when we play as the Suicide Squad as for why we should be killing the Justice League. Because aside from, Amanda Waller told us and the Justice League is evil, there's not really much to, let's kill the Justice League. It's just kind of, this is the thing we're doing. This is what we've been ordered to do. Let's do it. And if we don't do it, our heads are going to get blown up. So I feel as though a scene like that would have really made the game better. It would have broken it up, added more stakes. It also would have shown that, like, the Suicide Squad, they're villains. They're still villains, despite the fact that they're being the good guys. And I say good guys in quotation marks. Because they're not the good guys, they're the bad guys. But in the context of the game, aside from the fact that they kill people, they don't really do much bad guy stuff. Now, I know it's because they're under orders and they got bombs in their heads. Captain Boomerang's the only one who really does anything bad in the game. So you don't really see these people as villains. You see Captain Boomerang as a dick, but you don't see him as a villain. And that's because you don't see the consequences for their actions. Or, in this case, Captain Boomerang's. So, again, from a story perspective, I think seeing the fight between Wonder Woman and Green Lantern at Harbor Bay or whatever it is, it's there's civilian holdout where they're being evacuated. Like, if we'd just been able to see that, I think it would have added so much to the story. Or seen more scenes like that. Because apparently in the background, the Resistance is fighting Brainiac's forces. Half the reason why you don't see the evil Justice League constantly is because they're also fighting off the Resistance. Like the Earth Resistance. So it's just, well, let's see that. Let's help with that. But that's enough rambling about that. Let's move on to the second fight that I think we should have participated in some way as well, is the fight between Superman and Wonder Woman. Instead of having an extra long cutscene, still have a cutscene for part of it, but for the start of it, instead of just doing another escort mission, which is what you do instead, you escort a truck, and you shoot enemies as they try to get into the truck. I think it would have been a much better sequence if you were playing as Wonder Woman fighting Superman, and that escort mission was happening in the background. I think it would have been a lot more enjoyable, the story would have been better, and again, just break up the gameplay, break up the monotony of, we are shooting people, and we're just constantly shooting. Another way that the story probably could have been improved is, instead of Wonder Woman being the only survivor, Wonder Woman, who we don't know anything about, and we don't really learn anything about, let's play as the character who we've spent the last 3 games playing. Let's play as Batman. Like, we literally spent the last 3 games as Batman. It would have been we would have been able to jump seamlessly into playing him. It would have been, again, a breakup of the gameplay, more unique gameplay. It would have been a change. You could have had more stealth. You could have had some stealth sections, broken up all the actions with some stealth. And also, again, we've spent the last 3 games with Batman. Story-wise, we know him. We've learnt about him. Wonder Woman is introduced in this game. Spoiler alert, she dies in this game, and between her being introduced and her dying, we learn nothing about her. Aside from the fact that she is Wonder Woman, we learn nothing about her. Which is such a waste. It's such a waste, and also, if you didn't want to tell us anything about Wonder Woman, let us be paired, even if we didn't play him, let us be paired with the character that we know. Let us be paired with Batman, not Wonder Woman, as our only surviving Justice League member. So, it doesn't make sense to me why in this kind of situation, why you wouldn't use the character that you've already well established. If you weren't at least going to try and build one or give Wonder Woman some character. So I just, again, it doesn't make sense to me. I still think Wonder Woman is a good character. Allow me to be clear. I think she, what they do with her, I think they do it well. The few moments of comedy that she's a part of, and the few cutscenes that she's in, including the one against Superman, I think they're all very well done. They illustrate her as Wonder Woman. Like, if you think of Wonder Woman, they illustrate that and they show that very well in this game. But what do we actually know about Wonder Woman, aside from the fact that she's Wonder Woman? I know I'm reiterating that point, but it just, again, it feels like such a waste, so much wasted potential. And now we'll never know, not only because she's dead, but because, frankly, I don't think there's gonna be another game in the Arkhamverse. And, another thing, if you wanted to do this, just don't make the game in the Arkhamverse. Just make it another Batman game. Or, sorry, not Batman game, another DC game. It doesn't have to be in the Arkhamverse, it can just be a part of the DC universe. Like all stories are, because multiverse. So, moving on to my next point, I talked about stealth missions, breaking up the monotony. I know people weren't the biggest fan of the Mary Jane, Miles Morales missions in Spider-Man, but maybe we could have had a Lois Lane stealth mission in the Daily Planet when the Suicide Squad gets trapped in the shipping container by Wonder Woman and then is thrown into the Daily Planet. Lois Lane lets them out. Aside from some audio in the background, we haven't heard anything from Lois Lane the entire game. So, and she just lets us out, and you, aside from more background talking, she doesn't do anything else in the game, which, again, I just think is a massive waste. And again, it would have been a great and frankly logical thing to do. I'm sure that crate getting thrown through a building, a shipping container getting thrown through a building, I'm sure that would attract some attention. So the fact that Lois Lane kind of just walks in and then runs out, or runs in and then runs out with no consequence, it doesn't make sense. So maybe a stealth mission is her to let the Suicide Squad out. Just some more variety in what happens, I think, would be really good. Other than shoot stuff, do a samey mission or an escort mission, and then just repeat. And that goes through and I'm not just talking about that. Again, you might think that's a gameplay criticism there. It's not. This is, again, I'm talking about in terms of the story. While in a war, you're going to have battles that are the same or similar. You're going to have tons of other things as well. You're not just going to walk around and shoot people. There's gonna be, in war, there's airstrikes, there's flanking, where's the tanks and the armor. So there's so many different facets. And yet, story-wise, you do the exact same thing over and over again. No variety. You go find a character, they turn into a vendor. You go out and rescue people. It's the same Argus goons the entire time. So some more variety in what happens and how you do it would be good. Alright, let's talk about Flash and Green Lantern for a little bit, because if I can be two things that describe these two: wasted potential. Completely wasted potential, especially in terms of their boss fights. Like, Flash's boss fight, you don't really fight him. Now, and not only that just doesn't make sense story-wise, because Flash is going to be trying to get in there. Like, I know that they've got their repulsor arms, but from my understanding, that doesn't stop Flash from just walking up to them at normal speed or at slightly faster than human speed and hitting them. So my point, what I'm trying to say is with Flash, I expected when I saw his boss fight for it to be a precision dodge kind of fight, like an Elden Ring boss fight, where you've got to precision dodge, time your dodges, watch what the Flash is doing or where he is going, wait for an opening, and then you attack. Not what happened, which, frankly, I won't lie, haven't played it, but I watched the gameplay of it, and there was no creativity in it. Yeah, Flash throws out a tornado every now and then. He speeds around the environment, and he spawns minions to attack you, and it's just such a wasted potential. Like it's such a basic boss fight. There's no flair or uniqueness to it. It's just a samey boss fight, and then you kill him by shooting him. No cool quick time event or sequence of events to kill him. No, you just shoot him and he's dead. Mind you, that's a complaint that I have for all of the boss fights. And again, I'm talking. I know I'm talking a lot about gameplay here, but also that despite saying I'm not going to talk about gameplay, but I'm talking about it from a story perspective. The Flash is not a dumb guy. None of the Justice League is. The Flash, if I remember correctly, he gets a job in most continuities. I believe he gets a job at Star Labs as an assistant, as a lab assistant, and later a full-on researcher scientist. Now, if you're someone like that, you're not dumb. You're really, really smart. So I just feel as though Flash would be smart enough to go, oh, okay, I can't speed at full speed at these guys. No, I've got to slow down a bit and then speed at them. Or he could just do more with his tornadoes. He could do more with his speed, because part of the Flash's speed is electricity. And friction. He could run so fast in place that he could heat part of the combat arena up, so that part of the arena you can't go on it for a little bit. Make the tornadoes more dangerous, so that you cut off part of the arena. It just, again, no creativity and so much wasted potential. Also, Flash is one of the characters we get to see the most of out of the Justice League in terms of personality, and yet again it goes nowhere and nothing is done with it. And that's where I'm going to leave it there about Flash. Now I'm going to move on to Green Lantern. Now I have much the same complaints about Green Lantern they have about Flash, which is why I've put them together, because everything I've said about Flash can be applied to Green Lantern as well, except in relation to his power set. And mainly, the thing I'm going to talk about with Green Lantern's power set is, I know that Jon Stewart is supposed to be a military man. So guns, guns, guns. But there's more to the military than just guns and shooting things. Why weren't there mines dropped on the field? Why weren't there airstrikes going across the boss arena? Why wasn't there stationary gun positions? Why wasn't there? I know there was tanks and choppers, but why wasn't there? Excuse me. Why wasn't there other? Okay, that sounds bad. That's just me copping it out. That's me copping out right there. Why wasn't there? What's the word? Why wasn't there a battlefield? Why wasn't there barbed wire? Why wasn't there? Because there was a ton of minions in his, again, ton of minions. Why wasn't there unique uses of, like, maybe forts or defensive positions or just anything? Why wasn't there anything other than just gun shoot in Jon Stewart's boss fight? Not only that, but why were there no constructs that were like not related to the military? Like John Stewart, despite being a Green Lantern and being a military man, that doesn't mean he has to only create military related things. He can create anything. Hell, it was I think back to a fight in an Injustice, and in the first Injustice game, there's a fight scene in a cutscene where Green Lantern Hal Jordan and Yellow Lantern Hal Jordan are fighting, and I believe the Green Lantern Hal Jordan just creates a cleaver and takes a swing at Hal. No, it was Yellow Lantern Hal Jordan. He created a cleaver and just takes a swing at Green Lantern Hal Jordan, and Green Lantern Hal Jordan creates a shield, like a medieval shield, if I remember correctly, to block it. Sinestro in that fight creates a mace to try and beat Superman down. My point is that there can be more variety. You can the limits of the Green Lantern rings to create constructs, as far as my understanding, is the Green Lantern's imagination and how much willpower they have. Because if they've got enough willpower, in theory, they can create anything, any kind of construct. So why didn't we see more? Because to be frank, thinking about the fact and thinking to myself, oh yeah, so the first Injustice game, a game that came out years and years ago, that is a fighting game, has more unique has more unique constructs than Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and by definition, a looter shooter should have more variety, or have the ability to have more variety than a fighting game does, because a fighting game is even more structured in terms of its gameplay, and yet you see more variety in the fighting game than you do in the looter shooter live service game. And I think that sums up John Stewart in a nutshell. Not enough, just not enough variety. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm noticing with this video that I am my thoughts are older. I should have made this video a week ago, but I was sick last week. My thoughts aren't as fresh. They are and thus they're not as good, and they're not as structured. So anyway, let's move on to something I have a major problem with. I don't even think it was a cool scene. Superman, in the fight between Superman and Wonder Woman, Superman gets stabbed with a piece of kryptonite straight through his heart. Why isn't he dead? Now, I know the excuse is, oh, he's being changed by Brainiac's corruption that's controlling him, is changing him. Later on, he goes down to a bullet to the head. Later on, he goes down to a bullet to the head. So, if that's the case, and that means we're still playing by the rules, or sticking to the rules of, oh, when he gets kryptonite, near kryptonite, he's basically a baseline human, that means if he gets stabbed in the heart, he's dead. You literally see him get stabbed in the chest where his heart is. Wonder Woman goes for his heart specifically, and it doesn't kill him. I would not have as much problem with this if it wasn't clear he was stabbed through the heart with a piece of kryptonite. Not gold kryptonite, just normal kryptonite. But the fact of the matter is that he gets stabbed in the heart. And when he is weakened by kryptonite, or even when he's not weakened by kryptonite, if he is stabbed in the heart, Superman dies. Because he still is I'm not human in the terms of like, oh, he's a human or he's a Kryptonian, but in terms of the fact that he's a humanoid, which means if your head or your heart gets destroyed, you're dead. So why isn't he dead? You literally contradict your own rule. Like I said, later in the game, he dies to getting shot in the head. It just... It's just, you're contradicting your own rules, and it's so frustrating. So, and the excuse that's given is just stupid. So that's a really major problem I have story wise. So at least if you're going to stab him, don't stab him through the heart. If you stab him anywhere else except for the head, I would have been more okay with this. But he gets stabbed in the heart. So why isn't he dead? Now, another theme is, again, coming back to okay, let's start again. Batman. Now, I think I've I've covered. I think I've covered already why Batman is wasted potential, because I've talked about it with Flash and Green Lantern. And again, it's much the same complaints, so I'm not going to rehash them, aside from to talk about the fact that Batman is just extreme wasted potential. And the boss fight doesn't make sense. The boss fight just does not make sense at all, and I'm not even talking about from a gameplay perspective. It doesn't make sense gameplay-wise either. It doesn't make sense story-wise because this is fear toxin. Batman is using Scarecrow's fear toxin. It might be an edited version of it, but it's still Scarecrow's fear toxin. A fear toxin that in the previous games sent everyone who wasn't immune to it, including Batman himself, crazy. Now, Batman overcomes his fear, but that's because of his extreme willpower, his extremely strong will. You're telling me that Captain Boomerang, Deadshot, King Shark, and Heartwalker, okay, Harley Quinn's the one exception, but you're telling me the other three have the strength of will to push through the fear toxin? I'm calling bullshit. I'm calling absolute bullshit. So, the fact that those three are even in commission for that boss fight doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense, and it doesn't work. So, Harley is the one exception because she is a Gothamite. She's been exposed to fear toxin before. She's probably built up a bit of immunity to the general stuff. And she was around when Scarecrow was doing his whole thing. So she probably, I'm not going to say she built up an immunity, but she probably had to, already have to go through fear toxins in my system, I'm going crazy, I'm already crazy, getting over it, and then probably getting immunized. Or she was already immunized specifically because she was one of the people staying in Gotham and helping Scarecrow out with his plan. So, Harley, it's fine. Harley makes sense. It makes sense why she's able to do the boss fight. But, again, the other three, it doesn't make sense. They should be lying on the floor, going crazy, and yet that doesn't happen. Especially since, now, if this was Batman in his right mind, I might be like, he doesn't want to make him go crazy. He just wants to incapacitate them for a little bit. No, this is a homicidal Batman, a Batman that it will kill them without a second thought. And you're telling me that he didn't take the safeties off the fear toxin. You literally have him picking up a gun to shoot whichever character you're playing at the time earlier in the game. It doesn't make sense. And another thing is just, why didn't we get more Batman? Aside from him talking over the radio and in the background pretty much constantly, we don't see much of Batman. Now, I have seen a few videos where people have gone there's Batman in the distance watching you as you play the game. A great touch. But why don't we see more of him story-wise? I know he's apparently commanding the defense. Well, he's the commander in the war effort against the resistance. And this comes back to my earlier thing of like, oh, let's see the resistance fighting. Let's see the war going on between the resistance and Brainiac's forces. Like, why didn't we get more of Batman? Why didn't we get more of the character that we've spent three games with already? The new characters like Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash. I can kind of understand us not getting much time with them, especially since they're going to be dead soon. But Batman, we've spent 3 games with, because this is Arkhamverse Batman. Why didn't we get more time with him? Because he's one of the only ones. Now, I would like to to end this kind of end this point with, I know Kevin Conroy passed away. May he rest in peace. And maybe that's the reason why he's not in the game as much. But given the state of the rest of the game, I don't believe that. I believe that this was always the way Batman was intended to be in this game. I don't think it has anything to do with Kevin Conroy's death that he's not in this game more. And that is just, it's criminal, frankly. Because, well, 1, it's Batman. But 2, and the bigger one is, we spent 3 games with this guy. There should be more behind killing him, or there should be more build up to killing him than just, oh, he talks in the background. And a crappy boss fight that doesn't make sense. So, moving on. And this is something that, not finishing the game, but finishing my research into the game. Where's the Bat Family? Where is the Bat Family? Like, where? Like, I know we get a little bit look into, we get the up in the air, oh, is Robin dead? He clearly had a fight with Batman and lost. Oh, is Robin dead? But, like, where are Oracle and Nightwing? Where's, like, the greatest hacker in the world? Where is Bruce Wayne's firstborn? Someone who you would assume, especially if Robin lost, you would assume would be trying to beat Batman. Remove him from the equation. Where is the Bat Family? Where is Azrael? Like, there was a whole thing in Arkham Knight about him taking over from Batman. Where is Azrael? Where are the other members of the Justice League? Now, I know that in this canon, the established members of the Justice League are Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Green Lantern, and the Flash, but that doesn't mean they're the only hero metas, or that they're the only heroes in the world. In fact, I don't think it would make sense if that was the case, unless Gotham City, let me rephrase that. Unless the cities that these 5 people protect are the only ones that have supervillain criminal activity. I'm sorry, but 5 people can't protect an entire country. You need a team for that. It's half the reason why the Justice League is formed most of the time in most universes, is that they can't do it alone. So where are the other heroes of this world? Especially since this is clearly an invasion that will affect the entirety of the Earth, and the Justice League have lost. Where are the other heroes who are going, oh shit, we might need to step in, because the people who are supposed to have stepped in did step in and failed? So, and maybe this is a universe where there is literally only 5 other heroes, but that just doesn't make sense to me. So, where are other heroes? Where's the Green Lantern Corps? Where's the Green Lantern Corps? You don't just become a Green Lantern. Like, the whole thing about Green Lanterns, they don't just pop into existence. No, they're literally the police of space. If one of their people was to be corrupted, I would like to think that they would come and investigate. So, where is the Green Lantern Corps? Where is there just another Green Lantern? Why don't we have a second Green Lantern coming in to investigate the situation? Even if they were to just come in, encounter Brainiac, and get killed, where is another Green Lantern? And again, I bring it back. Where is Oracle? Where is Nightwing? Where are the pre-established characters from the Arkhamverse, from the earlier Arkhamverse games, that would definitely show up or be active in this game? So I just where are the people from the lore that you have established in the last 3 games? And that is, I think, one of the biggest losses or the biggest criticisms I can level at this game, is it ignoring the previous lore. The lore of the previous games. You literally established a lore in these previous 3 games, and now you're ignoring it. It blows my mind how badly, or how little the story in this game seems to have been thought about in terms of the entire Arkhamverse. Because one of the first things they said about this game, it was that it was set in the Arkham universe, the Arkhamverse. It is in the same universe as Arkham Origins, same universe as Arkham Asylum, same universe as Arkham City, and the same universe as Arkham Knight. So where are the pre-established characters from your lore? I have more to say, but I haven't played all of the game. And I don't want this one to be as long as the previous one, which it's coming in about half the time. So I'm going to end it here, because I think I've talked about all my main points. And again, as mentioned, some of the things that, some of the more complaints I say amount to the same stuff about a different part of the game. And it essentially will come down to wasted potential. It's just so much wasted potential. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you all for watching. I hope this has given you something to think about if you've gotten to the end. This isn't as coherent as my previous one, as my one about Hazbin Hotel. I think I need to, when I did the one on Hazbin Hotel, I had a bit of a refresher before I recorded the video. I didn't do that this time because when I did the refresher, I was sick and didn't end up recording. So I have to do a refresher next time. But I hope this has given you something to think about. I hope that this has made you look at Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League and not necessarily think, oh, here is a really crap game, but think about how live service games are ruining, how live service games ruin the games that they are, or how they can ruin the games that they are. Because I truly believe that if this game wasn't a live service game, like I said, if it had been like Borderlands, just been a co-op looter shooter, I feel as though this game would be leagues better than it is now. But again, that's all I have. It's not all I have to say, but that's all I'm going to say on the topic. Again, I hope you all enjoyed. I wish you all a very good morning, afternoon, evening, night. And maybe I'll see you again in the next one. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.